Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your Realtor Hugo here with another live. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. This is your live, your daily real estate live, that is renting to own, a smart path to home ownership? Question mark? The question of renting to own. Should you do it? Should you not? What are some things to keep in mind and how to go about it in this type of market? I'm Hugo Quintanilla, a licensed realtor in Maryland with Long and Foster. Hi, how are you doing? My website, yourrealtorhugo.com, my email, hugo@lnf.com, and my phone number, 240-389-4846. Like I said earlier, this is your live to find out more about these concepts that interest you. And this was one of the questions that I got very early on when we started doing the live that people kept bringing up. And it got brought up to me almost three times. Renting to own. What is it? How does it work? So we're going to talk about it. If you have any questions after today's talk, feel free and leave them in the DMs or in the comment section of your platform of choice. As always, we are on your favorite platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, Twitch.com, and Spotify, as well as YouTube Music. So feel free and share with anybody you'd like. Number one, the ins and outs of renting to own. Today, we're diving into the topic of renting to own. This is a unique way to buy a home, especially for those who might not be ready for a traditional mortgage. Let's break it down. Number two, rent to own. What is it? Rent to own means you rent a home for a specific period with the option to buy it before the lease ends. Part of your rent goes towards the down payment. It's like test driving your future home. And it's a great example that they use there, test driving your future home in the sense that, hey, you're trying out the home ownership route, you're living in the property, you're already spending time there. So why not try to build some equity? There are some things that could happen with renting to own, and we'll talk about a few of those next. Number three, who should consider rent to own? Rent to own is a great option for people who need time to save for down payment or improve their credit scores. Millennials, this could be a perfect option if you're not ready for a mortgage right now but want to own a home soon. It's not very common and it can be very tricky. I don't know too many people that have a brokerage where they do a rent to own contract unless they are a property management company. But to my knowledge, this is really a great option for someone that is leasing. It's very difficult to have a down payment. It's very difficult to get the savings up, but you still need to own a home. And if you have a landlord that's willing to work with you, this can again be a great option for you to move up, not just lease for an unlimited period of time. Number four, pros of renting to own. Why consider rent to own? You can lock in purchase price, try out the neighborhood, and part of your rent goes towards buying the home. It's honestly a win-win situation if you're serious about buying. But again, if you're serious and if your landlord is serious, this is can be again one of those situations where you have to make sure that everyone's on the same page. You know how much your price is going to be, how much you're going to be paying in rent, and how much of that rent is going to be going into the down payment. That all needs to be outlined. And you would not be in bad shape to actually get yourself a lawyer involved in this. I'm usually not one to tell you to go, seek legal counsel. But whenever you're formulating a contract with someone, I would highly advise you to use a lawyer. It just makes good sense. Number five, cons of renting to own. There are some downsides. You might pay more in rent, and if you don't decide to buy, you could lose the extra money you've paid. Also, if the property value drops, you're still locked into the higher price. Those are all very real negative consequences of what can happen in this type of situation. It's not guaranteed because if you're locked in, you're locked in. Once it's set in stone, it's set in stone. So any clauses that you have set up, they're there. You're definitely paying more rent than the average rent, but the theory is that you're paying more rent so that some of that can go into the down payment. Or there are other options where maybe they're taking a portion of the set rent to down payment. It could be broken up a million and one ways, because the beautiful thing about America is that if a person wants to sell their home, they can do that. That's the nice thing about it. But at the end of the day, we want to make legally sound transactions in real estate. And we just want to make sure that everything is agreed on by both parties. So if you agreed to whatever you're signing and they agreed to whatever they're signing, then you have to definitely keep that in mind. So before you sign anything, get legal counsel. Number 6, how does rent to own work? There are usually two parts: the lease agreement and the option to buy. The outlines the rent and lease terms, while the option agreement details the purchase terms. Make sure you understand both. And that's why I'm not familiar with a single form that does both of these things yet. Most states, it does vary from state to state. It does take a two-part system. So that is something to know, that you will have a separate lease and then you will have a option agreement after that. And that is its own agreement that needs to be signed. Number 7, what to look for in a rent to own agreement. Always read the fine print. Look for how much of the rent goes towards the purchase price, the length of the lease, and the purchase price. Also, check if you need to pay for maintenance and repairs. Make sure if there's any changes, where they're going to be. Get a lawyer involved. If you can, get a realtor involved. But at the end of the day, a rent to own situation is usually one that's set up to save people money. So if you find a realtor that can help you out, they might be able to work out a deal where they, help facilitate between landlord and new buyer. Look for a real estate professional and see what they say. See if they can help you. If their brokerage has resources to help you in the rent to own option, because there are many places that do specialize in that. Like I said, property management companies, I'm sure, have something in this that's worked into their agreements. But I digress. Number 8, the importance of a home inspection. Even though you're renting first, treat this like a home purchase. Get a home inspection to uncover any issues that might make you reconsider the deal. Again, a home inspection is by far the easiest way for you to protect yourself in a transaction. It's something that I highly recommend anyone that can go out there and do. But even if you're living in the home, especially in this situation, you should treat this like a purchase and make sure that you are uncovering everything. Even if it doesn't change anything in the price, you never know. And it could potentially change everything in the way you look at the property if you end up finding out, hey, this place is not as great as I thought it was. It's a matter of finding the ins and outs of the property, getting that bill of health, trying to establish a baseline so that you can take it over and really do something great with it. So something to think about. Always get the home inspection if possible. Number 9, legal and financial advice. Consult with a real estate attorney and financial advisor before signing anything. They can help you understand the legal and financial implications and ensure you're making a smart decision. It is imperative that you use professional people to help you out. That's what we're here to do. We're here to assist you in these matters. So consult, if they don't know the answer, I'm sure that they can point you in the right direction. And that's why you want to start establishing these relationships with professionals that you trust, because you never know who you might come across that they know, or who you might know that they might need to get to know. So it's all about getting to know people. Number 10, and the last one for tonight: success stories and cautionary tales. Finally, learning from others. Look up success stories of people who used rent to own to buy their dream home, but also read about those who face challenges so you know what to avoid. It's very common on Reddit, very common, I'm sure, other places and forums on the internet. Do your research. Rent to own can be more expensive, But rent to own can also be an option for many people that don't have any other options. So don't knock it. It's not traditional to see a rent to own situation, but now more than ever, we're starting to see different sorts of financing, more creative financing. And if seller financing it becomes a bigger and bigger movement, we could have a whole new set of sellers and seller financing and practices that end up coming about as the industry changes as well. So very interesting to see. Can also be on the buying and selling side, represented by people that are trying to find assumable mortgages that can transfer their interest rate to the new buyer if they qualify. So there are different options out there. You just got to look and listen and learn. So if you're just joining us today, we are talking about renting to own, a smart path to home ownership? Question mark. Because it's not built for everyone. It's about helping a particular demographic get to home ownership. Renting to own is a great option. It's not traditional mortgaging, but it can be a great option for someone's first property. And it's possible. There are landlords and owners that have great appreciation for their tenants and for who they house. And they find it in themselves to share the wealth, so to speak. And it truly is commendable. And I hope more and more we will see more movements like that become mainstream as we see more people transfer wealth into the next generation. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I really do appreciate you all tuning in and subscribing. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about building equity as a first time home owner. Building equity is really what it's about. It's about making money from these properties while we use them to live. So I hope you'll come back and hang out with me for that one. Take care. Have a great night. I will see you all tomorrow. And be safe out there. Talk to you. Take care. Bye.